Good evening and welcome to the first episode of the Minions of the Zoo for 2022. I'm your host and keeper of the Harry Channel, and with me tonight are Minions Serenity Star 13.
Hello.
DrFunctional.
Hi.
Sora Luna.
Hello.
And SkepTock.
Hey, everybody.
Now, I know everybody's doing pretty well because we've already been talking before the show. Sora, you had fun.
I did, yes.
You had a lovely day.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
I went to see the Salute to Vienna New Year's Eve concert, which was very interesting. We try to see it yearly if possible, but this year, obviously, it's the first one in the pandemic that they've hosted it. And it was at 50% capacity, because that's what all you're allowed to have, and everyone had to have a pass and mask.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm surprised that a light opera about tiny sausages would be so popular.
You know what? We are still living in a meat-based world, regardless what vegans say, and so yeah, it's very important.
Meat girl.
I'm surprised vegans have the energy to say anything, honestly.
They don't. That's the reason why they do it on social media.
Yeah, they get all uppity and their hip just breaks.
Yeah.
How's it going, Serenity?
It's going good.
You doing okay?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I'm doing good.
Hey, Functional.
Hey, you guys.
Dr. Black Space Jesus.
Not tonight. Not tonight. Even
Not
though
tonight.
I was watching PS9 Wall.
Now, hold on. You are that because, look, all I did was I just turned the names off because I find them distracting. See, Dr. Black Space Jesus says right
Oh,
there.
wow.
Dr. Space
changed
Black
that.
Jesus.
Or I changed. Oh wait, yeah, I wasn't on
Yeah,
that.
see?
See, Elwin and I split a magnum of champagne last night, and I don't drink that much, so I kind of just passed out. I thought I totally thought I was on Minions last night. Sanguine messaged me last night. Hey, you coming? I was passed out, but I dreamt that I was on the show. So up until this moment, I thought I was on last night's show as well. This is okay. I am Dr. Black Space Jesus.
All right.
For now.
Somewhere in the multiverse, there's somebody who actually experienced that. Okay. Let's see. Skep. How are you tonight, Skep?
I'm doing fine. I'm actually kind of tired running around doing stuff all day, but I got a good workout in before the cold front came through. It's now 17 degrees Fahrenheit. That's -8 in the centigrade or Celsius version, and it's freaking cold down here. We actually turned on the heat. We turned on the heat today.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Are you, is it time to load up the helicopters with the icing fluid and back out to the wind farm?
Oh man,
saving the planet one load of helicopter fuel.
We're not really. I know you don't want to talk about this, but we're not really in that much better shape this year. And if we have another event like we had last year, we're going to have similar troubles.
Well, we actually could talk about it if it ends up coming to the point where it starts sucking. We could bring it up. There are some pretty good videos on some of the engineering channels that have spent literally 40-50 minutes on the topic, and we'll never come close to that. So I might just give some people links if it comes to pass. But anyway, I have to do this first. Let's see. I have to. Oh, we can make the names go away. It's just annoying. And hey, Functional. What do you think of this?
Yeah.
Baconated Oreos.
Yeah.
Ew.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm with Sora. No.
Are you getting sound?
Nope.
No. You didn't share the sound.
Screw that. Okay.
It's okay.
Here.
Do we really need to hear
it?
it?
We can do it. We can do it this way. I've got more than one way to do this.
I'm a firm believer that bacon makes everything better. So today we're going to make bacon wrapped Oreos.
No, I'm
Start
not.
with a pound of bacon
Yes,
and
we
slice
are.
it down the middle. Then you're going to grab your Oreo cookies and wrap each cookie in a half slice of that bacon.
Why
I
though?
love how this
Lay
just
them
came out
seam side
today.
down and then sprinkle a little of your favorite barbecue rub right on top.
No.
Now they're going on the smoker at 250 degrees and you're
No.
going to let them smoke for about an hour. Then spritz
I'm
them all
not.
with a little bit of apple juice.
No.
Let them cook for another 30 minutes, and once that bacon is crispy, they're ready to enjoy. Sweet, savory, smoky, and delicious. So don't knock it till you try it.
No,
Yeah.
I'm
Fuck
knocking it.
you.
I am knocking it. This is me knocking it.
I just knocked it myself.
Okay, let's do a show of hands. Serenity, yes or no?
Yes.
Functional?
Hell no.
Sora?
No.
Skep?
Wasting bacon and wasting Oreos. Are you shitting me?
Okay.
Wussies.
All right.
See. Okay, I'm gonna do a quick mental chop challenge here with the ingredients that she just proposed. I would first make an Oreo pie out of the Oreos. Very simple. Crush it up, turn it into a pie. Make a what do you call that? Like gelatinous pie filly type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like Oreo custard. I don't.
Moose, whatever. Yeah.
Mousse. Thank you. Oreo mousse, pie crust, blah blah blah, and then make a baking crumble for the top. Maybe add some some bacon, baked chocolate bacon drizzle on top. That would be an acceptable combination of that stuff. The ingredients, but like you're being lazy.
No.
Did you see the size of them fingers? She ain't got time to make pie.
Actually, to be fair, that's actually that's from a channel called Married to Barbecue, and it actually has really good content. Most of the stuff that she puts out is actually pretty good. But this particular thing, I'm just like, if I'm going to take the time to fire up the grill and start smoking stuff, it isn't going to be bacon wrapped Oreos. There are a million other things I would much rather have on that grill than that.
Precisely.
That's the whole thing.
I would try it.
Yeah, that's
Just to see what
that's
it's
the
like.
conversation in this house.
It's probably not
So
terrible.
often.
It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
terrible, but it's just
No.
kind of pointless in my opinion.
Yeah.
I've had deep fried Oreos, and I'm sure it's probably down that same kind of aisle of
You-
And a
taste.
backyard smoker is a privilege. You should
That's-
use it responsibly.
That's the national food of
I think you should get it revoked.
yeah. Well, let's see. In terms of things, I was going to ask does anybody have any predictions for 2022 they want to go on Minions record? Because if you do, now is your chance.
It's going to be the same as it always was, ever was.
I feel
Same
like
as it ever was.
I feel like February 1st is when we're going to see people start pulling back from a lot of the, at least in America, the COVID stuff. Because a lot of people got a lot of midterms they got to get through.
You mean midterm exams or
No, midterm election.
midterm elections?
And
Yeah.
a lot of people not liking a lot of this stuff.
Well, that's
That'll
the
be nice.
same. That's the same date that what's his name, the Dilbert guy, Scott Adams,
Yeah.
has sort of been pushing. He's been trying to get out there into the ether the idea that February 1st, that's the time when we just go, okay, time to get on with our lives. It's
Well, it's
turned
like-
into a bad cold. We're done now.
I think Greg Gutfeld also said that too. I'm kind of agreeing with it.
The two of them are friends. They actually talk.
That explains a few things. But I still think February 1st, I don't think it's going to just stop dead, but I think it's going to start. Because usually February is when they start gearing up a lot more for the re-election stuff.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of people going up against a lot of people who do not have the ability to fight back if they keep continuing with this BS. So we'll see. But I think February 1st is when it begins.
Okay, so we've got one prediction. February 1st is when is the beginning of the end for COVID in the U.S. at least.
At least the acknowledgement of it. It's still going to exist, obviously, but it's the acknowledgement of it. It's not going to be treated the same.
Okay,
Now, I also have a prediction,
go ahead.
if you're
Do it.
interested.
Yeah.
The name of the president of the United States at the end of this year, 2022, that name will not be Biden.
Okay,
May not even be Harris, but it won't be Biden.
God, please don't
And-
let it be Pelosi. That's all I'm asking.
Hey, let me just finish this. In a situation that I could see happening would be where Kamala Harris resigns
Oh.
Party says the party says you're done.
Mhm.
You know, and if you won't resign, we were going to show you what the word screw means. We will show you that word. Your life will be a burden to you. And so she'll get threatened out of the position, and Joe will pick a new vice president who probably will be fairly acceptable to everybody. Might even be a bit of a centrist. No kidding. Just to kick the squad in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And that person will be president at the end of 2022. And I really do believe that that's something like that's going to happen.
Okay.
Which brings me to ask this: who would you pick if you were Biden and you had all your facilities, which he obviously doesn't?
No, who will Biden's people help him pick? Yeah.
Who would you pick? You mean a Jewish person?
No.
Who would you?
Jew in England.
Who would you pick?
Who would you pick? But no, who like
Anyway.
if you were Biden and had all control of your facilities, and obviously the party wasn't picking for you, but who would you pick to be your new vice president?
Oh, Tulsi Gabbard. There's no parallel.
I don't like her, but
I don't
okay.
think they're smart enough to pick her though.
I agree with Harry on that one.
No, they hate her.
She would be confirmed unanimously. First of all, it would be amazing.
I don't like her stance on guns.
Well, there's
I don't
things
either.
about her that I don't
There's
like.
lots of things I don't like, but
that doesn't mean she wouldn't.
She
be
would
the
be
pick.
welcomed by both, and actually, but secretly by the Dems, who really do want to, stop the leftward drift before it goes to full crazy town. Sorry about the barking dogs.
No, it's okay.
I think a more possible pick would be Butt Judge, because he's very well spoken. He can carry a conversation. He can carry an interview. He's extremely well spoken. He can toe party lines. He can do exactly what the establishment needs him to do.
No, you know what? No, he would not get confirmed, and here's why.
Not a woman.
The right will never forgive him for taking the time off for the baby. That's seriously a huge problem.
They can stick it in their craw.
Yeah.
Yep.
People
Well,
have
it's
real
not
life
like
stuff
it-
that they need to do. I mean, like the media's been aflutter with where's Ron DeSantis taking care of his wife while she's going through chemo. Like, I mean, it's the same talking point on the other side. Real life happened. They need to step out of the political theater for a moment. People can hold their nips and be patient while they deal with real life. But you're right. You're right.
No, Ron DeSantis didn't disappear for weeks with nobody knowing where the hell he was.
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis has, he may be taking time to do family stuff that he needs to do, but he's not gone. He's not absent. He's not AWOL.
And Buttigieg did it during a crisis.
Well, not to mention, I don't think Buttigieg in a real debate, where he's literally the guy under the microscope and it's just you going yes or no to this guy. I don't think he's going to stand up to scrutiny based on his record. I think there's enough weak, flim-flammy bullshit that goes on with that guy. I don't see it happen.
So, I agree with Skep. I think Tulsi's the best pick. I just like everyone said, there's problems with everybody. I just don't like her stance on guns. She's still the best, but she is the best.
But they're not going to pick her.
But the Dems are not going to pick her. The
pick
Democratic establishment just hates her.
No, they would pick like a Klobuchar or some other woman.
If he picks
not
Bernie, we're all
Duckworth,
screwed.
mercifully. Yeah.
If
Or
he
the
picks Bernie,
real.
we're all screwed.
He's not going to pick Bernie. He could pick Hillary because she's a uniter.
Oh, that would be hilarious, and we're still screwed.
Yeah.
She's already there, but that would inflame the other side to no end.
Well, it'd also lose them. They would have to wait until after the midterms, because if that happened before the midterms, there would be so many Dem losses. It would flip both the House and everything. It would flip the House and everything.
All right. Well, let's talk about something good.
Hopefully.
Something positive. I think this is.
House.
I think this is actually a pretty good thing. So Schwarzenegger actually put his money where his mouth is, and managed to donate 25 tiny homes to vets in LA. because they're setting up these
That's
little
awesome.
tiny home communities, and that's like $250,000. So that's not nothing.
Nothing to stick
I
at.
mean, again, there's things I don't agree with him about. He's pretty rhino in a lot of ways.
Yeah, he's a gun grabber.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, at least as a human being, I think it's a pretty decent thing. He's doing more to take care of vets than a lot of other people.
No
Hey.
kidding.
Praise the
There's a
good
lot
stuff
of
they do and
good
call them on the bad shit they do.
Yeah,
Amen,
do.
sister.
exactly. Anyway, this is a good
He's-
thing.
He does a lot of charity work, so that's one thing I'll always give him as sort of a tick in the right column, you know.
Oh yeah. When if it's that same, it's that one housing community they've been building, and those I've seen the pictures of the inside of those tiny houses. They're actually really, really nice.
Yeah, they are.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think they also get internet with it. I think, if I remember right.
Well, there's
Or
a
at
there's
least
a
one of
there's
them.
a there's a laundry area. There's bathrooms, showers.
Oh,
there's a communal
that's really
kitchen
nice.
area. It's a good transitional thing. It's not necessarily supposed to be somebody's final home,
Sure.
but it's a
No, but
really
it
good
gets
transitional
you
thing.
Going, yeah.
Yeah.
Off the streets, clean,
Yeah, it gets them clean,
healthy.
and it gives them a safe place to go back to that's their own, that they can lock, and that gives them the ability to feel safe at least for a little bit before they go get hopefully the mental help that they really, 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 really need.
They can get cleaned up. They can get cleaned up mentally. They can get cleaned up physically. They can get cleaned up emotionally because they're not under threat. And they can maybe go out, get some help, maybe get a part-time job.
Yep.
There's all kinds of good things that can happen once you start doing this. And it all starts with, Arnold given $250,000.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Heck yeah, man.
Good for him.
I think that's great.
So this is
It's a funny thing. I'm not usually a fan of his either. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say that this is in the what makes me happy today block,
Mhm.
but it doesn't make me happy that Betty White died. It makes me happy that Betty White lived. And the thing about Betty White that was really awesome is it was nice that there was at least one thing we all agreed was good in this world, and that it was Betty White. And when I was a little kid, I've always loved comedy. But when I was a little kid, Mary Tyler Moore was on, and Betty White was on that.
Mhm.
And I remember turning to my grandfather and saying, I don't understand. I don't really like this character. I don't understand what her role is here. But I was just a little kid. I was really small. And my grandfather said, she's the funniest person on the show. When you're older, you'll get it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Or was he right?
He was so right.
Wow.
Yeah, even having watched Golden Girls when I was a young person, and then rewatching some of it 5-6 years ago, I was like, "Whoa, okay, I get it."
Yeah.
It was funny back then. It's hilarious now that I'm an adult. Hilarious, and she was just, people usually give all the acclaim of comedians to stand up. She is right up there with the best of them.
Oh yeah.
Well, she doesn't really stand up so much as
No, she's not. But when people think of
but
comedy,
she's
they
very
usually...
but her comedy timing is impeccable. And oh God, she's dirty mouth.
I would
she's
stop
so
the video,
blue
Harry.
sometimes. What?
Yeah,
They're talking about Biden's dog.
Oh.
I'd stop the video.
Okay, I'll stop the video. So there's
That's
a
not
little
bad.
synopsis of her career here, which is let's see, lands national TV series role and Mayor of Hollywood. See, she kicked off her career in television in the 1930s before landing the leading role in the American sitcom
Let me
The Life
just
with
say
Elizabeth.
Let me say something real quickly about that. She was one of the first televised images ever recorded on the West Coast in Los Angeles.
Mhm.
They set up something called the Experimental TV Lab. That's what they called it. And she got in her Beverly Hills High School graduation gown and all this other stuff, and danced in front of the camera. She doesn't know what show it was on. It's actually lost to history what the footage was used for. But that was probably in the first few days ever of any TV industry at all in the Los Angeles area.
Well, this is obviously a typo. They meant to say the 1950s instead of 1930s, but the show aired for
No. It's 1939. 1939. The Experimental television laboratory in Los Angeles, which was a university thing, and the thing with the life with
oh, I see. Before landing the
yeah.
leading role. Okay,
Right.
The Life with Elizabeth, the show aired
Right,
for
that
2
was
seasons,
afterwards.
53 to 55, being canceled after 65 episodes.
right.
So you could say she's legitimately a pioneer. She won the first Emmy for the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
She was the first person to dance on television west of the Mississippi River.
And then there was they bring up the famous thing with the Adam and Eve sketch with Johnny Carson. That was a moment.
Inspired.
Because when I was a kid, I probably shouldn't have, but I would stay up and I would watch the first part of Carson before going to bed because I had shitty sleep hygiene even back then. And I remember when some of this stuff would come on, like the first time you'd see this, or the first time Robin Williams was on with Jonathan Winters. So many firsts happened on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. It used to be just a way more important thing than it is now.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
It's really devolved. And of course the Golden Girls, and oldest person to host Saturday Night Live.
What's funny
And
about her
everybody
appearance
loves
there
her.
on Saturday Night Live, she was in every skit.
Yeah.
It was that was the first time and last time I'd watched Saturday Night Live since the 90s.
We
in
had a reason
its
to.
entirety. Well, yeah. I mean, it was amazing. Every time
By
they
the-
changed to the next scene, it was like, "Oh, Betty's in this one too. That's so cool."
Yeah.
Sorry. What were you
By
saying?
the way, I was going to say, do you know what her actual birth name is?
I did earlier today. I don't know. What is it?
It's not Elizabeth. It's Betty. She was christened Betty. That's her name.
Oh,
It's not short for Elizabeth.
Oh, okay. But
I
the
always
last
thought that
name
It's an
is
interesting thing.
her surname White?
What?
No,
That's
no,
a
no. That's
stage name. Okay.
Well, it's part of her full name. Like her full name is Betty Marion White Ludden. Ludden.
Oh yeah, that's right. She's
Ludden.
married to Alan.
Ludden.
Alan
Okay.
Ludden.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was
Ludden.
like, what
Yeah.
is it?
So
Welcome
as I
to
was
another
looking,
round of password.
I mean, obviously we can't
Yeah.
cover all of Betty White's life in the few minutes that we have to talk about it. But I did find one interesting thing because everybody's trying to figure out whether we want to canonize her or not. And so this story showed up. Betty White refused to
I
remove
remember this.
Black Dancer from her show in 1954.
Mm-hmm.
Back when we actually had genuine racism, and people were just proud of it. She was like, "No, I don't think so." And so instead of taking the guy off the show, she actually gave him more time.
Stick it
I
in
love
there,
Betty
Carl.
White.
Good old fuck you.
I want to just throw one last factoid about Betty White in.
Sure.
She once said this in an interview. She said, "My answer, my answer to anything under the sun, like, what have you not done in the business that you've always wanted to do, is Robert Redford."
Yeah.
I just love the attitude.
Yeah. And that concludes all of the things tonight that make me happy. Well,
Aw.
yeah, I know.
Largely
Damn.
Okay, so China. God.
depressed with tinges of irony.
Hasn't even been the first half hour. You've got my blood.
Yeah. China
China.
warns Walmart over alleged removal of. How do you
Xinjiang.
pronounce that? Xinjiang?
No, it's actually
Xinjiang.
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 Okay. Source
Xinjiang would
products
be like Zhang.
from
Xinjiang.
stores. I mean, the long and short of it is, in the Sam's Clubs in China, it looks like they're maybe not stocking things from the provinces where the Uyghurs and the Muslim minorities are being oppressed, allegedly, and all of those bad things. And the Chinese government caught word of this and decided they were going to make a stink about it. They said China's anti-graft agency on Friday accused U.S. retail giant Walmart and its Sam's Club chain of stupidity and short-sightedness after Chinese news outlets reported Sam's Club had removed Xinjiang sourced products from stores. Now, Sam's Club is saying, no, we didn't do that. It's just supply chain problems. We promise.
When you see
But
the
I can
roads
see a
that they
way-
have to use to get like products from one part of China to the other, yeah, I can believe the supply chain part.
Yeah. So, but the Chinese are not. If you think you can get away with pretending that you're on China's side, but then not doing what China wants, you really can't, because they're watching every single thing these people do. Walmart is the latest firm to be tripped up by Western pressure over Beijing's treatment of Uyghurs and other minority Muslims in Xinjiang, and China's importance as a market and supply base. China rejects accusations of forced labor because, of course, they do.
Well, duh.
The ruling Chinese Party's Central Commission for Discipline Inspection,
Oh my
CCDI,
god. Holy
accused
shit.
Sam
that's
Club
this
of
topic.
boycotting Xinjiang's products and trying to muddle through the controversy by remaining silent. Oh, shucks, it's just the
Jesus
supply
Christ.
chain.
Darn.
I mean, talk about damned if you do, damned if you don't. This is like when your wife or girlfriend asks you if the dress makes her look fat, and it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you try to
fucking
just pretend you didn't hear her.
Right.
idiot.
I always feigned a heart attack.
Wow.
She can't.
Damn,
They won't let her. They won't let her in the ambulance. That's what I found out.
Don't let her in. I have to tell her whether she looks good in the dress or not.
Yeah.
You
Let's
do it.
see. What have we got going on in chat?
Not cool with Uyghur slave labor, but Chinese slave labor still good.
Did I say muggle through? Element's busting my chops. I meant to say muddle.
I thought
Did
you
you
said
say
muddle.
muggle through?
I thought you were hard to say muddle, but that was me.
Yeah, I'm not the Harry Potter fan here. I wouldn't say such a thing. Okay. So China's asshole, moving on.
Yeah. China is asshole.
Oh wait, it's more China. Damn it. I thought I'd look and see what the Straits Time had listed as the 21 events of 2021. So let's see what the Chinese perspective is on the
Oh,
things we should
God.
care about from last year.
Oh boy.
Oh, January 6th. And yeah,
Look at
Okay.
him with his bullhorn.
Trump impeached for the second time. There's a giant peach trying to run
And it
Donald Trump
failed.
over. Yeah.
I love that book.
Yeah. Myanmar, they seem to be very excited about this Myanmar coup thing.
God, that is just a nightmare.
Which makes me.
Ever Given grounded, blocks Suez Canal. Look, he's embarrassed. He's embarrassed.
I'm
That's really cute, actually.
Yeah. Some guy steps down as some political leader. You talk about things we don't care about, okay?
Yeah.
Look at this. WHO designates Delta and months later Omicron a variant of concern. 2021 is a year marked by a frenzy of COVID-19 vaccinations.
Meh.
Doesn't that sound a bit negative?
Yeah. And here we've
Frenzy.
got billionaires going into space. Nice little graphic of
Look at
Richard
Branson
Branson.
go.
Yeah.
Woo!
Apparently some person at a high school killed some other person at a high school in China. They have some catching up to do in terms of the number of people killed in high schools.
Well, usually it's just the government killing people, so
Yeah.
this is an achievement for them.
Yeah, that's right. Let's play the new
Jesus.
trivia game, Killed or Disappeared. Let's see. Nobody showed up at the Olympics. A panda was born somewhere. Don't care.
Singapore, you should care.
Well, I do care about Singapore. I don't care that one panda was born in
That's a
Singapore.
panda.
I wouldn't put it in the top 21 news items for 2021.
How much you want to
That's
bet
only
that
'cause you
prime
don't get to
minister
eat
was
it.
installed by China?
Prime Minister
Oh.
Malaysia.
Yeah.
Here's them. They love pointing out all the things that didn't go well for America. U.S. military departs Afghanistan.
Yeah, they had a
Hard.
they had a bridge collapse. They can bite me.
Exactly. Well, that's not on the list. I know.
I know.
Everybody running out of fuel. Apparently, some Chinese person won 2 golds at the
Hidden shoe.
Paralympics.
Oh, they're actually caring about someone who's not
Yeah, they didn't leave her
100%
out in the forest.
perfect.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, well, it isn't a dude being effeminate or Muslim, so it's okay. She's still on the
Tennis
okay
player
list.
talking about being
Yeah.
abused.
Not like she's a Uyghur or something.
And more civilians in space. And,
Is that William Shatner?
and a new Japanese prime minister. It was, let me see, who is it? Yeah, it's definitely Shatner.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and apparently
Is that a man in a
somebody
dress?
won a Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh.
So this is what's important. Oh, and there was a climate talk. Yeah. So this was what was important to these people. This is what's important in China. Because fuck China. Okay. Speaking of things that are important, Flap and Sue's Trans Jeopardy champ Amy Schneider hailed as top female earner, going again to show that the best women are people who used to be men. Comments?
Only if you don't like cock.
Your best swimmers?
Honestly, it's freaking Jeopardy. I don't give a shit. Excuse me.
Of course.
I mean, yeah, ultimately it doesn't matter because it's not a gendered competition. Men and women face off against each other all the time.
But this is the top female earner. It says so right there in quotes.
You see, the thing is, if they want to make it neutral, just say top whatever number of earner that is, top 20th player or whatever in the history of Jeopardy, and then there won't be any problem. But then that individual or the community will say, "Oh, that's not fair." I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm honestly for this. I'm more. I have more issues in actual sports and that kind of stuff versus something like a TV game show.
Well, of course.
Which isn't good anymore anyway, since Alex has passed away.
Has anybody watched it? I mean, is anybody watching the show
No.
without Alex Trebek?
I've watched a few clips of it, and it's just unwatchable.
So who's the host?
Sorry, Skep. I wasn't gonna like. I don't mean
I
this
think
in a
it- I think
disparaging
it's-
way.
I
but
think
I don't
it's
think
a-
anybody above 70 or below 70 is.
Well, people below 70 do watch it.
I'm below 70, thanks. But anyway, I don't believe these people are human. They seem to be AI, like really good animation.
Oh, you mean the new hosts? Okay.
Yeah, the new hosts. I can only assume that because that's not human. What I saw.
Well, I think Sora's hit it.
Elwin says it's Mayam Bay. I never can
Oh,
pronounce
it's
her name.
Blossom.
Bialik, yeah.
It's Blossom.
Mayim
Okay.
Bialik, yeah.
Bialik.
Oh, she's not terrible, but she's
I
also
thought it was a
not.
guy that
Ken
was
Jennings,
hosting.
Yeah, no, I think they're rotating them.
Oh, okay.
I'm just looking it up now.
That's like a restaurant that just opens at random times during the day. That's a great way to destroy a brand, is just rotate hosts.
After Art Fleming and Alex Trebek,
You're
are
done.
nothing. They're
Yeah.
Get
Looks
out.
like it's two main ones, but then they have like a guest host named Buzzy.
Oh,
Like Buzzy
yeah,
Phillips.
They've.
The-
Oh yeah,
Oh God. Okay.
her.
the lady, the bearded lady guy.
She's actually part of the Work Juice players in the Thrilling Adventure Hour. I've actually seen her live.
But
She's okay, but she needs to shut up about stuff.
But
Yeah.
Ken Jennings and Mayim Bialik are going to share hosting duties.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
You're diluting the brand. You think you're
Oh,
doing
Elwin
something clever,
says
but you're
they
not.
dumped the guy.
Oh, they did.
Ken Jennings, no.
This is an article as of December 9th.
Well.
From the New York Times saying that he's still sharing it.
Oh, maybe they lied.
Yeah, liars. But
Because I know
again,
the executive producer basically left the show and was just like, done with it. So it's kind of up in the air whether or not it even keeps going. Is
yeah.
Well, I mean, it should
Kind
have
of
ended
question.
after Alex Trebek died anyway. But that's
Yes,
Yeah.
that is
because
correct.
it's
No,
too.
I agree
It's
with
like
Jack
Wheel of
and Pat.
Fortune. If Vanna leaves and Pat Sajak, like it needs to be done. Like
Yeah.
just let it end. Like it is too ingrained. You can't. The fact that Price is Right was able to continue, and even then, it's still not the same without Bob Barker. It's not the same. Like, but Drew Carey does pretty well. Like that's like a lightning in a bottle moment. That's like one of the few times you can like have a new host. Like, but Jeopardy should end after Alex Trebek, and Wheel of Fortune needs to end after Sajak and Vanna leave.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Carey's a pretty interesting guy.
He is like he's not bad at Price is Right because it's a sick day tradition. If I'm not
Yeah.
feeling good, I watch Price is Right. So, he's not
I mean,
bad.
if
He's not Bob
the
Barker.
the feud had a couple really good hosts after Richard Dawson.
Yeah, but it was at least for me.
Lou Anderson was good, but it was a short run. Then you had some other hosts, and
Steve
then
Harvey's funny.
I really love Steve Harvey.
Steve Harvey's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Louis Anderson kind of gives off that. He's a really funny guy, but he kind of gives off that creep vibe.
Yeah.
Which doesn't work given the
Oh,
kind of
Drew
questions that they're asking on
Yeah.
Family Feud. You know,
I
when you
like
get into those kinds of questions, you kind of need a wink and a nod. And when when he would do a wink and a nod, it would just seem creepy. And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I think he's actually really funny. I just don't think he's the right guy for that job.
Yeah, being
No,
a game
he
show
was
host
good
is
for a
not an
little
easy job. It's not.
No.
So I think
He's a special kind of person.
this next thing is going to annoy Functional. I just kind of suspect. I don't know if this was something you posted or not.
Oh,
Teenage
fuck.
Mutant
I just don't
Ninja
care.
Turtles
Fuck.
reboot from Seth Rogen, Nickelodeon, set for 2023.
Burn in hell, you fat, ugly pothead. I'm sorry.
I mean, isn't he the guy that just tried to destroy Christmas and now he's going to
Yes.
destroy the Mutant
Him
Ninja
and Sarah
Turtles?
Silverman.
Yeah.
Just
Fuck off, you bad
couldn't
Jews.
care.
Good lord. Sorry, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was my childhood.
Yeah,
It's been long ruined since Eastman and Laird passed the torch. I
but this
mean,
is
Hey,
going to
man.
be CG animated instead of
The
cartoon
last
drawn.
one
So
was
that's
CG
better, right?
animated. The last
I
one
don't know. Was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
They've done like 5 reboots.
I haven't.
And
I want
I'm not
them.
talking about the movies. I'm talking about the TV shows too. Like they've done reboots of TV shows. It's not been the
Mhm.
like the live action
it's been awful.
when the people were in the suits of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and yes, even the one where they went back in time to Japan. I love that one. Bite me.
Mhm.
And the original animated
That's Secret of
Teenage
the
Mutant
Ooze.
Ninja are the originals. Those are the good ones. I didn't mind the reboots with what's her thumb? Megan Fox. I didn't mind them. They could have been better, but they could have been a lot worse. But yeah, they've done a lot of the CGI TV shows and they're terrible. And the movies could have been a lot better, but if Seth Rogen has his hands on it, oh my god.
the last video game was really good though.
Yes. Yeah. No, the video game is really good too.
Which I love turtles. So when I look at it this way, like there's
Somebody clip that.
95% of
I
all
love
artists.
turtles.
I love turtles. I love turtles, but there's that thing. No, I like 95% of all art is
3820 is the time code.
awful. So much art. Like I would say 95% of all art is trash anyway, so I just don't care. I don't get worked up by it. When there's that 5% that's really good, I will like sing its
I
praises
know.
to the walls. Guys, watch The Expanse.
I know, but
It's
like,
amazing.
I miss the old days of Hollywood where what happened with Santa Incorporated would have destroyed a person's career and then they never would have gotten a job again. That should have destroyed his career and it hasn't.
Yeah, that should have been like what Showgirls did to
That should be
everybody
career
involved.
ending. That should
Yeah.
be career ending.
Well, it
for
should have
him.
been. It should have been time for a serious timeout. Now, why don't you take a decade and think about what you just did?
Well, between that and his bullshit tweet with Casey Neistat, oh, it's LA, you have to get used to your car getting broken and maybe you'll get a knife. Like, I'm sorry, go away.
Yeah, he's an idiot, and everything he touches turns to crap.
Hotbox yourself into brain deadness, please.
Yeah, I think
As
Ghost
I
Dog
said-
summed it up. Oh hell no! Come up with something new, you lazy bastard. Yeah,
Damn right.
yeah. He
Well-
smoked all the creativity out of his brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
No,
does,
I-
and it's just equally as awful. I mean,
Yeah. It's like,
like
Jesus.
what is it, Pineapple Express and all those other stoner comedies. Like even me, I'm just kind of like, okay.
Oh no! The thing that makes it even funnier is apparently he has a business now that makes high-end ashtrays for pot smokers. They're
Are
like
you
the cheapest ones,
serious?
like $75.
Okay, I need a palate cleanser. I'm not going to wait for you people to call for one. This is something. It started raining in California, which is almost unheard of.
Hallelujah.
I know.
Jesus.
Is
It
it raining
rained in
men?
California. So in order, we have 3 palate cleansers, and they become, I think, funnier. But this amused me as I was thinking about the whole rain thing. Say,
Oh God.
in California, when it rains, we're completely and utterly unprepared for it. So this is the kind of
What
shit
do we
that
do?
happens. Here we go.
It's so
Our
sad.
new floating recycling
He
brigades
looks so
will come
concerned.
directly to your house.
Power of science.
There it goes.
The only thing that would have made it funnier is if it would have ran into a yellow road sign and fallen over.
You basically
Fine,
go
we'll go
out
that way.
and wait, and expect to find your trash can Only to go.
They look like they're running away. Like, we're free from California. Run for your life.
I love the person that's filming isn't even attempting to
He's
help.
like,
He's just
"Fuck
like,
it."
haha.
Nope. Fuck it. I'm not getting wet.
Not my trash can. I'm on the other side of the street.
You can tell they're laughing too.
and
By how
R2
much
on the
every-
deserts of Tatooine.
And it disappears out.
Oh, there's another one. Another one just fell. Another one fell over.
Oh, there's
yeah.
the
There's a
recycling bin.
recycling bin on the right.
Yeah, this is what happens
They're
when it
going
rains
on
in
an
California.
adventure.
Everything goes to shit.
We're
Oh
going
no,
to
an inch of
Belgium.
rain. No.
Oh no,
Yeah.
like someone my cousin lives in San Diego, and like this was a couple years ago. Like it got down to like 51 degrees and rained, and he's from West Virginia, so he sent me a picture of him in a t-shirt and shorts, and all of the Californians in parkas. He's like, I don't know what the fuck wrong with these people, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, dude.
I don't know either. I live here and I don't even know. Okay, back to that. Let's make his
Fuck you,
ugly
Joe.
face go away.
Fuck you, Seth Rogen. Fuck you.
Yeah, Seth Rogen. Yeah, not Joe Rogan. We like.
I know.
Joe
My
Rogan.
brain was like, nah.
Okay,
Fuck you.
so we're just getting through just sort of the things that kind of annoy me as opposed to important things. So this is the last one of the things that annoys me. This article is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Dental slim diet control. Researchers develop world first weight loss device.
It's wire your mouth shut.
Well, no, sort of.
Dental slim diet control is an intraoral device fitted by a dental professional to the upper and lower back teeth. It uses magnetic devices with unique custom manufactured locking bolts. It allows the wearer to open their mouth only about 2 millimeters, restricting them to a liquid diet, but it allows free speech and isn't restricting breathing.
So wire your mouth shut.
Yeah. So basically, it's a
using magnets.
device that I don't think the Geneva Convention would let you do this to a prisoner,
No,
but this
I
is
promise.
like, I just think world first weight loss device. No, this is not the world's first weight loss device.
And of course, it's from New Zealand. Of course it is.
If you were like the man in the iron mask, I mean, it's like all you got was a crazy straw with Slim Fast or something. That's all you could eat, right?
I'm beginning to think New Zealand needs to be bombed. I'm really beginning to think this.
Yeah, well, I mean,
'Cause that's
this
what the
is-
University of Otago
Serenity,
is.
what we do is we cede New Zealand to China.
Oh,
Then
God.
it's their fucking problem, and China's no longer our problem. Huh?
There you
Huh?
go.
How do
How
we
we handle this.
seed?
I
How do
know,
we
that's what I wanna
seed
know.
them to China.
Yeah. Do we just sell them on New Zealand's behalf and get money, and that's it?
Okay, so while I was watching this, I may have spent some time looking at videos of trash cans. I stumbled across this where this brilliant young inventor came up with this thing. So here's her
Oh, she looks
invention.
like she gets picked on at school.
Can you hear her?
A little bit.
Yeah, I'm a problem.
Happens on Monday nights.
So she's worried. Oh my gosh, trash cans! Look, when they fall over, shit goes everywhere, right? So she's come up with this brilliant solution, which basically is you take a bungee cord and then you use the bungee cord to make it so the lid won't open. Now, I give her an E for effort.
Yeah, but we've been doing that in the holler. We're doing that out in the holler for years, man.
But the
Yeah,
point
it gets
being
to
that
stop the
when the,
coons from getting in them.
when the
Yeah.
truck comes by and the little forklift thing comes out and it tries to dump the trash in, the
Yeah.
trash isn't going to come out because the lid
Yep.
doesn't open. So
And-
her
and the-
trash can is suffering from the same problem as the weight loss device. Simply wiring the lid closed doesn't solve the freaking
Well, it's like
problem.
also like we have the same problem now because like the garbage people will like everything has to be in a bag. You can't have the lid locked because if you have the lid locked, they won't touch it because they don't want to like unlock stuff because they don't want to get out of the trucks. Like it's this whole like rigmarole bullshit of like we don't want to do anything, so they're not even going to get out to unhook the bungee cord. Like
Good one, Jack. Even Functional will admit that that's funny.
He has his moments. Jack has his moments. Yeah.
there's a certain point out in the
Garbage
holler
Jack.
you have to either accept the fact
Yeah,
that
that's a good one,
the
Jack.
coons are going to get in the garbage. Mind you,
yeah.
I've
Yeah.
heard garbage men scream from the other end of the road when they've opened it, when they've can't figure out why the trash can's moving, and they go over to it, and it's like,
Couple coons inside. Yeah.
ah!
I don't know why it's moving. It's not raining.
Just turn Elwyn.
All right. So the next block is the government we deserve. And it's just like, we're going to need another palate cleanser here pretty
I'm
soon.
gonna fight you on
to
that
tell
one,
you.
but okay. I don't think we
Okay,
deserve
this is actually pretty serious. Federal
Yeah.
inmates who served home confinement during pandemic may not have to return to prison.
Fuck you.
This pisses me off so much. The general rationale here is, they stayed home and they didn't kill anybody while they were staying home. Why do we even need to send these people to prison? If they're not going to do it again, why bother sending them to prison? Well, Elizabeth Holmes, the Theranos woman, is on trial. Do you think she's going to start another Theranos? No. Well, why send her to jail? What purpose does it serve to send her to jail?
She's not going to jail.
But why would you send her to jail by the rationale of this article? Why?
Yeah.
Because she's not going to do it again,
agree.
so why send anybody to jail who isn't, who we think is in this? There's lots of
decriminalizing criminality.
Well, there's lots and lots of times when people end up going to jail because they did something just once because it was just that bad. And it's meant to be a deterrent to other people who might decide to do it too. It's like, well, what if you just wake up and decide, I'm going to kill one person? I guess I get one free one in my life before they send me to jail. What kind of world is that going to be?
The 16-year-olds in Michigan who decided to throw rocks and pieces of concrete off of an overpass killed a motorist, and they're spending the rest of their lives in jail. They were tried as adults, and they got life without parole. 2 of them did.
Okay, it looks like a lot of these are drug offenders, nonviolent drug offenders. Their term has to be 18 months or less, and they have to have already completed 25% of it. Now, I'm not agreeing with it. But it's like these are at least not murderers. So, and rapists, this is like non-violent offenders. So, while I don't agree with it,
if they're interested enough to have them in on the narcotics charge, it's probably because they had them on other charges that they could not prove.
As a practical matter, that's often true.
That's often true, and some of these people are murderers, and some of them are rapists. A substantial percent, I don't know what it would run, but I'll bet it's at least 50%.
Well, the thing is, Serenity is absolutely right. There are definitely people who are in jail who maybe aren't.
And the rest, I agree with her. I agree.
I think you're right, but it's
absolutely right on that.
But the principle that they're espousing is that these people don't represent a threat anymore, therefore they don't need to be in jail. Yeah. No, that's not the criteria that we need to use, and I don't want that to be the criteria. And anybody who says that needs to be, mocked, unless there's other stuff around it. Like, this person's already spent some time in jail. We don't think recidivism is a problem. It was a crime where they only did damage to themselves. It isn't a crime where there was a victim involved. It was only them. It was some sort of protective thing. They no longer need to be placed in a position to protect them from themselves. That's a different sort of thing than the thing that we're talking about, because the next article is just absolutely sickening. And I know this is state versus federal. Catch and release killers, 150 victims killed by suspects released on bond in Houston area.
Houston is really bad. Houston is just in horrible shape right now.
Catch and release judges presently on the bench in Harris County have released more than 113 defendants charged with capital murder back onto Houston streets on bond. More than 150 people have been murdered by accused criminals released on bond. Let's just let that sink in for a moment.
It's a very liberal atmosphere down there.
I think Sly Turner has, the mayor of Houston, has a crush on Lori Lightfoot, their Skep.
You think so?
Yeah.
It's entirely possible.
I mean, if you look at the percentage of jumps in homicides, it's almost neck and neck with Chicago. Houston is becoming exponentially bad year by year, just like Chicago is, and it really isn't a mystery, but it kind of is a mystery. How are they getting so bad? And it's like, how are they they being the mayor, city council, etc., getting away with letting these cities devolve so badly.
Well, and that's the question I
don't
kind of
understand.
have to ask on that kind of same tangent is like, do these people legitimately think that it's not going to come back and bite them in the ass? Because we're seeing it start to. Like, Lori Lightfoot's being called on stuff. De Blasio's being called on shit. San Francisco, everything. Like, people are starting to turn on them. And yet, they still do it. And someone who's legitimately doing it for good reasons, I would like to believe would have that light bulb moment when they realize, oh shit, I'm not doing this for good reasons anymore.
And we're obviously not talking the opposition. We're talking people in their own camp who are turning on them.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
What should happen. That's what we want in a liberal democratic society.
Agreed. But it's like, why? Like, they can't be that stupid. Like, is it just sheer arrogance? Like, hearing Lori Lightfoot, mind you, I want to put my fist through my screen, and I paid a lot of money for this computer screen. I don't actually want to do it, but she makes me want to put my fist through the screen because it's just, is it the whole, like, I'm the grand leader and no one can tell me what to do because I know better than everyone, even though it keeps blowing up in my face. I want these people studied because I want to know, like, how.
I want them yeeted into the sun.
Well, let me reframe it for you a little bit. So It wasn't that long ago that even incompetent people in government, say after the first 10 murders caused by somebody that they decided to let out, they would have thought, maybe this plan isn't working and we should think about this before we all lose our jobs.
Yeah.
150 people, I think the actual number is 153. 153 people dead because somebody who had been brought in on capital charges was released on bond. And nobody thought anywhere in the high 90s that maybe they should have done something about it. To me, that's inconceivable. I can understand the system being broken, but I can't understand it being that broken.
Well, I mean, it's also that I would like to think the people's opposite, people who are going to oppose them going into elections and stuff like that, will kind of bring up to the fact of, like, say stuff like, well, they obviously think you're so beneath them that they don't care if you and your kind die. So why will you continue to vote for these people? Because that's what, that's where my brain would go, because it's never the people. One, it's not white people unless they're in the lower income areas, and then they don't count them anyway because they don't see them as being white. Or so it's like, it's never higher income areas. It's never like white people from the suburbs who get hurt, maybe occasionally, but for the most part, it's lower income. And yet lower income, if we're being completely fair and not going off the whole like ballot stuff or ballot harvesting, that's the word. And we kind of don't think of anything being ballot harvested and lies and ballots or whatever, knock on wood. Like, and yet they still vote for them. You're literally watching them allow where you live to devolve even more. There's a certain point, even the sheep get a clue.
It's a lot more widespread than that as well, because this is the judicial system. This is the judges. This is even the jurors, the common folk. So to speak, as close as they get to these types of topics. I don't know if people have been paying attention to some of these big legal cases. I mean, Rittenhouse was a win for justice, no matter left, right, didn't matter. It was a win for justice. But I look at things like Derek Chauvin, like Kim Potter, and I go, what the hell? Kim Potter more so, what the hell is going on here that people just, making a mistake are suddenly, and a mistake that really is even part of their job description. We look at there's another case that was just wrapped up. Deontay Riziles, something foreign, black kid in Florida who break and enter, tied up this woman, stabbed her 27 times, whatever, and was let off. The event happened 7 years ago. His court case just finished because the jury didn't want to convict another young black man. I mean, this problem goes so far beyond just the governance. It's ingrained into society, and there's got to be some way, way above my pay grade to try to fix those problems. And I don't know where we would even start, because again, in that case, Serenity, we're seeing that at a ground level. You know, like jurors are just common people, common folk generally. You know, they're just people from the community. You know, a jury of your peers. And if that kind of messaging is going to come out in 12 jurors to let a violent murderer just off the hook right from the get-go, and we see the other articles where people are being let go because of whatever bullshit reasons they want to, some who are violent, I don't know.
What and Keyradam said the name of the person. It's Deontay Rosellis.
Rosellis?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in chat, but like it's still, it's like there's someone who's dealt with actual real life sheep. Real life sheep eventually get a clue on whether people sheep ever will. I don't know. Real life sheep, when they start to see, because we've had coyotes attack the sheep, and they'll see one of them fall, and then they'll all of a sudden, like, instinct kicks in and they'll get a clue. But it's one of those things that
I think people are dumber than sheep.
when it comes to some things, I'm agreeing with you. Well, I mean, it's the old quote from Men in Black: "A person is smart, people are stupid." But there has to be a point, especially in a weird way. This is where social media, I think, helps, because it makes it, because one, you will get the like forced perspective of a certain lean of an article, but very often human curiosity will sometimes win out, and they'll look into it themselves and then realize, wait a damn minute. And I think
fine. That's good.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, and that's the part that, like, more people need to just, like, I think, and it's the fear for their jobs, which is sad, but it's kind of what's causing a lot of this stuff to happen, is where a lot of people are starting to have the possibility of losing their jobs. And it's only because it's coming from their own side and the PR is finally starting to hurt. But it's like the fact that it had to make it to the point where PR is what's you're afraid of, bad PR, not, I don't know, the loss of innocent life. That
I think you clued into one of the key factors there is social media, and I think the problem with it, because it's such a great tool, I don't think anyone will deny that things like social media, the internet, the connectivity we have is such a great tool. I think people just give the idiots, the single-minded, loudest people on things like Twitter, whatever, they give them too much credence, and that's where the fear comes.
Well, anyway, this is terrible, and I'm going to move us forward to the next thing, which is minor by comparison, but still stupid. California is a dumb state in some ways. So, in the move to become carbon neutral, California is looking at banning small gas-powered engines. So
California wants to die. Like,
they're trying to go after like leaf blowers and things like that, and that's one thing. That's just an annoyance. But one of the things that they're looking at getting rid of are gasoline-powered little backup generators. Yes. So in a state where they regularly turn off power because it's windy and sparks might do something, in a state with an unstable power grid because they're trying to make it super green as quickly as possible, they're going to then take people and say, you can't just buy a $500 generator and take care of your CPAP machine and all your medical equipment or whatever. No.
Make sure your insulin doesn't spoil.
Yeah, exactly. You could just, there's other ways to get backups. You can get a battery backup. Excuse me, in order to get a serious battery backup, you're looking at like $1,500, $2,000, $3,000. A whole house backup is thousands of dollars. A little cheap generator is something that people can actually afford, $400 or $500 on Amazon. You can get a thing that'll run your fridge and a few other things, but they don't want people to have that. Instead, they're taking it away. It seems to me, and in terms of carbon footprint, how much of a zealous idiot do you have to be to think, what's the average amount of time that somebody's going to be losing power in a year? Suppose it's 24 hours, right? So you're really going to go out of your way to stop somebody from running a small engine for 24 hours, and that somehow that's the difference in the climate war this thing that gets used only occasionally in an emergency. No, this is just it just shows that they've completely lost their freaking minds. I actually went through PG&E's reliability report, and I decided that I was hating my life just looking at it, so I didn't want to show any of that stuff to you guys. But it's just been getting worse in a lot of the recent years. You know, the amount of time you don't have power in California, especially if you live outside of the major cities, is not trivial. And taking this away from people just strikes me as being really, really, really dumb. And it's the kind of elitist bullshit you'd expect from Governor Goodhair. Because he doesn't care. He can just call up Tesla and say, give me 3 power walls and you know, he's done, right? But to somebody on a, you know, for like normal people struggling to get by and pay sky high rents, that $500 generator from Amazon is the best they can do. I don't know how much room I left for conversation in this topic.
It's it sounds very similar to there was a discussion here. I don't know if it'll happen again, but basically the mayor wanting to eliminate all natural gas in homes because it's not he had considered it not green. So basically, if you have gas fireplace, gas oven, gas stove, any of that, you'd have to switch over to electrical. And most people, in a lot of neighborhoods, you have natural gas piping already in place. So that infrastructure is gonna. What are you gonna do with that? Where's it gonna go? Yeah, and it's because a lot of people, it's like, well, if whenever we have power outages here, we just light up the fireplace or light up the oven or the stovetop, I should say, not the oven, and you're warm until the power comes back.
I actually have looked into this, and it's not the burning of the natural gas that they're worried about. It's the leakage of the natural gas.
Yes, that's exactly
so
right.
If you look at all of the leakage that occurs on these pipelines and all of the leakage that occurs in the transport, but more importantly, on the valve that goes on the house, there's this little thing called a burp valve. And every now and then it will just burp a little bit of unburned natural gas just to keep the pressure of the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
And greenhouse gas, methane, a component of natural gas, is a pretty powerful greenhouse gas. So what there are some calculations that basically place it on par with all of the CO2 that's produced. So if you're looking for a way to rebalance the climate equation in terms of the atmosphere's composition, going after non-essential use of natural gas is actually a pretty easy one. So you're already seeing in cities where they're not granting new permits. Now that's the more sort of sane thing to do, but Functional will vouch. If you expect to have a 30,000 BTU burner on full blast in a restaurant and somebody says, here's a hot plate, you're not going to be doing very well. There are people who actually need this stuff. You know, but in terms of like, you could replace all the gas water heaters and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's actually just the natural gas hookup that's the issue for them. The good news is that its half-life in the atmosphere is actually relatively short. So even though it's a potent greenhouse gas, it doesn't really stick around that long. So it's not really the end of the world, even by environmental standards, but it's just another thing they're going after. In California, and I didn't bring this up, but we might bring it up later, there's going to be a new requirement to separate out food scraps from other types of solid waste. And it's going to be a whole separate category of stuff that you're going to carry so they can compost. And the main reason for this is to cut down on the methane that's exuded from landfills.
Do that here already.
Yeah.
You know what you're going to get?
Thing.
You know what you're going to get?
Raccoons.
You're going to get rats.
Trash pandas.
The trash pandas is one thing. No, you're going to get rats because that's worse because
we don't have rats here.
Oh, they'll find you.
Oh, I know we have. Nigel has not been gone so long that I've forgotten about Nigel.
I was gonna say
it's so bad.
You could like really Skep and have a home garden and compost your own nutritious soil.
Yeah.
We actually do that.
Yeah, I know. Well, you have a garden, so I assume you did, because that's just it's kind of it's free fertilizer.
It's free
Well,
fertilizer. Exactly right.
Okay, it's sort of free fertilizer. Now, this is here I'm
Sort
talking
of.
about a thing that I said I wasn't going to talk about. In this topic for California, one of the parts of this law, because it wouldn't be California unless we really, really screwed it up, they're going to require all of the cities over a certain size, and not a very particularly big ones, these cities to buy back huge amounts of compost that gets produced through this program. So not only are they going to force you to separate out the food scraps, they're going to pay people to go through and give people citations if they don't separate out stuff. So there's going to be government people going through your garbage bins. And then at the end of all this, the city is going to be forced to buy back compost. Now, some of the cities who've done this are being forced to buy so much compost at such a high price that it's really putting a burden on the city, and they actually have no place to put most of this compost. There's so much compost they literally can't use it all, which is why it's cheap. You know, a lot of cities will give you free compost. You just call up and say, "Hey, no problem, happily bring you compost." But that problem's about to get a lot worse in California. Yeah, good times.
So California's full of shit.
California's
Another
full
news:
of
water's wet.
slightly digested shit. Sorry. Sorry, I know there's not maybe a huge amount of... Everybody likes making fun of California.
We've kind of lost the point, because environmentally, as far as carbon footprints, not that it was ever a huge emergency, but we've kind of been winning that war. The holes in the degrading ozone sections have been repaired. They've repaired themselves. We've realized that there was a problem. We took some action. And now places like, California, here in Kanukistan, there's a lot of places like that where they're just going way overboard, and to know, like, it's not going to make a difference. What we need to be concentrating on is other forms of pollutants that are destroying the planet in certain areas, like shit, literal and figurative, spoiling patches of the seas, the oceans. Climate change is not a huge deal. Pollution still is a big deal. Canada, for one, this is one thing that makes me just really fucking... We send our garbage to Asia. We sell our garbage to Asia. Most of the time, about half of it gets washed overboard, or quote unquote lost, or sits in the sea, or whatever, by the time it even makes it over there. And that's just one country. We produce quite a bit of waste too. Is it just not loading? I'm kind of...
Sorry,
you had a black screen. I was just kind of droning on.
Oh, interesting. It's not... note to self, don't change virtual window. Okay, good. Yeah. So does this make the window go away? Is it all black now?
No. Well, now it is. Yeah.
Now it is. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, good. Technology.
Blackout.
Yeah.
Ask Jeffrey Tubin. It's good to know what the mute button does.
So there's this article, and I think I almost just don't have the patience to deal with it. 2022 will be do or die moment for Congress to take action against big tech. How many times are we going to see this headline?
Well,
it's like when they tell me it's going to be the worst fire season ever. Every year is the worst fire season ever.
Yeah.
It is, but apparently, and this is just the scuttlebutt around Washington, is that they're actually forming the committee. They've actually formed the committees and will actually start drafting up stuff to do something about this. The problem is the people writing the new laws and the new proposals and the new task force and all this government bloat are the people who are directly invested into companies like Apple and Facebook and Google, who are the big players in this. So it's business as usual in Washington.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to do a damn thing about it. But this article from CNBC,
I think they will. I just think it'll be the wrong thing. I think it'll just be further measures to protect big tech and their investors. I don't think it'll be good for the people who use the internet, who use these platforms to exercise their free speech, but are reprimanded for it. So I don't know.
Yeah,
You're right. Nothing's going to happen.
I love this. I love this completely fair and balanced article. Republican takeover of House could stall antitrust legislation. There's a lot going on in antitrust that could come to a head in 2022 that spans legislation, as well as possible regulations and enforcement actions from the Federal Trade Commission and Department of Justice Antitrust Division. The likely Republican takeover next fall means 2022 is do or die for tech antitrust legislation, said Idiot, managing director of Idiot Group.
That's not what that means.
No, that's what it means, Skep. It says right here. That's the biggest risk for the companies in Washington. If they can manage to ward that off, we probably won't see it reemerge until 2025.
CNBC would never lie to us, Skep.
We're never going to rein in big tech if you don't let the Democrats just keep doing what they're doing.
Even though 3 of the biggest players that want a fair and open internet are Republicans.
Yeah.
So
anyway, this is stupid. It makes me angry. We need a second palate cleanser, I think.
Yes, hurry.
Okay, let me see. Let's see which ones. Oh, okay. Here we go. Do this.
What is this?
Are you getting sound?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute.
It's ice.
That's he's gonna slide, isn't he? He thought he had it. Thought he had it.
Oh, he's so close.
Scotland.
Scotland? Yeah.
Based on the accent, at least.
Here in Sweden, it gets a little slippery this time of year. I've got this.
Okay, you can do it, buddy.
This guy's kids and wife are such. Oh wait, no, it's the garbage bin.
I don't want to even admit how much time I spent looking at videos of
Alan,
people
put it in
fighting
front
garbage
of you
cans.
and walk over like a crab. Put it in front of you.
I think that's the way.
Oh, okay.
Wait for it.
Go on the grass, babe. I didn't know we had an ice skating rink. Zeb, get moving.
Let's go, Alan.
He's so heavy.
Okay.
Oh no.
You can do it.
They need it.
Oh,
Look, he's almost got it.
That's right.
Almost got it.
We need the next one. Oh, Daddy's nearly there. Oh.
Lunge. Come on, boy. You've got this.
We've got to hold
Oh,
it
no.
with my hand. Further out the window.
Yay!
Cheater. Cheater.
Finally.
Okay. All right. Yeah, he won. He eventually managed to put the trash back in.
As a Canadian, I can relate.
I'm glad I lined up some palate cleansers.
I remember living in Spokane. That's what it was like.
Okay, back to horrible things. Violence Against Women's Act reauthorization targets major gun loopholes.
You're right, Harry. This is terrible. I love violence against women.
No, it's the TUES stuff that's in here.
I know.
And yet,
Well, okay. First of all, I'm not in favor of violence against women, but I am opposed to sort of class-based justice. I think assault should be bad no matter what. I don't think that we need more protected classes.
Yeah.
There are a lot of protected classes out there. I mean, federal employees, there's like a bajillion of them, right?
There really are.
Pretty much everybody other than
Probably
me.
hundreds of them.
Yeah.
does she have a carrot? on her lapel.
Looks like it.
But Parrot is dead.
No, a
What
carrot.
the hell?
Carrot.
She's
I
not
don't know
Dr.
what
Oh,
it
it's a
is.
tree.
I know. It's just
It looks like a
Yeah,
like
oh,
a
yeah.
chia tree or something.
I'm just looking at her horrendous mask.
Okay, I'm gonna make the mask go away so you don't have to think about
Yes,
it.
thank you.
All right, there we
But
go.
you're totally right, Harry. I agree with you with one caveat is that the only protected class should be children. Doesn't matter their gender or race or whatever. Children, that's it.
No touchy.
Everybody else equal under the law. Like there's no need for this layer upon layer upon layer of identity politics. It's something that's supposed to be
Well,
completely
children, yeah, children are a different sort of class than
Yeah.
saying people with holding a chart up to somebody and saying, well, if you're darker than this, then it's a hate crime, and if you're lighter than this, then it's not. That's like no.
So I'm thinking of the Family Guy meme.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So basically, buried in this, they want to close up what they're calling the boyfriend loophole, meaning that if somebody gets a restraining order on somebody or claims they might be dangerous, then a judge can just take away all their guns. Now, to me, that seems like it's a little short on the due process.
Just
Because,
a little.
obviously if two people are having a contentious breakup or, they've already at odds with each other, taking away all of the guy's guns doesn't necessarily seem like the fairest thing to do.
And that really didn't work in the who was the guy who is now paralyzed because he got shot by cops 7 times?
Okay,
Oh.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was the boyfriend. He just showed up and did things to her with her child in the bed next to her, and then proceeded to try to steal the rental car with kids in it.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't have a
While
gun. and she
reaching
had
for a
restraint-
knife.
Yeah, and he didn't have a gun, and he had a restraining order on him, and that did bullshit all.
I just think in such cases where you're in a situation of some sort form of domestic abuse, what we tend to do, at least where I am, is we get the people who are in danger, potential or otherwise, out of the situation first, and then if there's something in the legal system that can happen or whatever, then that's the second thing to happen. The first thing being get the person out of there, not infringe on the accused, not sentencing them before just merely on accusation. And I mean that's basically the meat and potatoes of modern day red flag laws, is you just circumvent people's rights.
Yeah, if somebody makes a threat, like an actual actionable, reasonable threat, right? Then a judge should be able to do something. But just somebody accusing somebody of having a bad attitude is not, in my mind, enough to be basically violating one of their civil rights.
Yeah.
The bar needs to be a little bit higher. If the guy's got like a history, and of course, if he's got a history, then the question is, how would he pass a gun background check anyway, right?
Exactly.
So if he's not supposed to have a gun legally, and you point out, I'm not talking about that he has one, I'm not talking about that sort of thing. I'm not an absolutist when it comes to any of these things, because obviously these rights sometimes come into conflict with each other. But at the same time, the Democrats really love just trying to sneak in some gun control thing under the guise of some other thing. Well, you can't vote against this, or you hate women. No, I don't hate women. I just don't think you should be able to strip people of their Second Amendment rights without appropriate due process. And this seems a little light on the due process. Anyway. All right, let's see.
They do not like due process.
Well, if you don't like that, here's something even scarier. Now, I'm not even saying he's going to do this, okay? But the fact that he made this statement is just more evidence that this guy shouldn't be president of the United States.
The medical team's recommendation. What?
Yeah, because they've been
Biden
so
says-
smart so far.
Well, yeah, I know what he meant. I'm
Yeah.
horrified.
Yeah. So, I mean, so what? A group of unelected experts gives you some advice, and you're going to put restrictions on domestic travel?
It's ridiculous.
That's a First Amendment restriction that should vanish with like a puff of smoke in the face of SCOTUS.
Yeah.
Well, I looked it up, and I know we don't have Prospero here tonight because she's got early morning stuff tomorrow. But just relying on Wikipedia, in the absence of Prospero, freedom of movement under U.S. law is governed primarily by the Privileges and Immunities Clause of the United States Constitution, which states the citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states. Basically meaning the federal government doesn't have the ability to stop you from moving, say, from one state to another. Full stop. Now, if I'm reading this correctly, it doesn't really deal with the issue of whether states could maybe put restrictions about you moving into a state.
Oh,
Nothing-
states definitely can. And
Yeah.
here's a great example. The fruit inspection that you do at the Arizona border with
Yeah.
California.
Yep. Exactly. So the state could say, we don't want you coming in here unless you're vaccinated. They could do
Right.
that. Whether that would hold up to other court challenges, I don't know, but at least in terms of the Constitution. But the federal government has nothing to say about this, as far as I can tell, short of some kind of emergency declaration. And then you got to make that stick, because you
And-
can't just be under emergency powers all the time and claim you're a democracy.
When, like, as proven with the vaccine mandates, all the the courts volleying back and forth between, like, can you not? Da, 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 da. Like, it would hit a court case at some point where at some point for at least a little while would be shot down and maybe put back up and then shot down again. So it would just turn into a volleyball match.
But but in the meantime, they're doing these things while it's in the court system.
Oh, I know.
Because
I know,
well,
but it makes me scared too at some point.
globally, this is happening everywhere. This is happening in Australia, UK, Canada. I mean, I understand that we don't have the same constitutions and Bill of Rights and everything across these different nations, but they are circumventing the sort of enshrined rights that these citizens of these countries do have. And that's what scares me the most, is that every country is doing this, and it seems like the only one that's kind of making some headway, even though it's slogging through the legal system, is the U.S. And hopefully they keep slogging, because this has got to stop. Like you said, you can't be under emergency powers all the time. And like most people are starting to wake up and say, yeah, the emergency's kind of over.
Or if I'm willing to take that chance on my life, let me do it.
Well, yeah, that's
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
basically the most fundamental right any person.
Like that's the thing. Like because I got in an argument with a person when the pandemic thing kind of hit midpoint, and they were like, well, you should be forced to sign a piece of paper that says like you won't tie the hospital up. I said, all right. And they were like, what? I said, yeah, no, I'll sign it. I know what I'm doing. I take that chance. Move on.
I just saw this thing in the sidebar. Chicago's
Uh-oh.
979 homicides in 2021.
790.
Highest, 797 homicides in 2021. Highest in 25 years, most of any U.S. city.
And if she gets reelected, we know shit's rigged.
And just think about
Sorry.
how good we'd look in terms of our murder rate as a country if we just gave Chicago to Canada.
No.
I don't want
was
it.
Well, didn't somebody do the math? Like, if we remove like New York and Chicago,
If we remove
like,
the top 5 basically Democrat-run cities, we have like almost the
Almost
lowest
no.
murder rate in the world.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I remember hearing that. And, like, I think even part of our debt goes away if like we remove some. We don't
Yeah,
know.
sadly we don't get to pick and choose.
I know.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So let's see. The next thing is the science block, which is I think all interesting, good stuff. I think we've got a better science block than we normally do. You guys ready for one more palate cleanser? This one's the best.
Yes.
This is the best one.
Yes.
You saved
I
the
love
best for
this.
last?
I love this one so much. This one is great.
Better than bacon Oreos.
This is
That
one of the
or
funniest
not.
things I've seen in a very long
Oh.
time.
Oh, that child has his hands on his hips like, I give up. Yep. The minute he put his foot in the middle of it, I saw it happen again.
He needs a bungee cord.
That poor child.
Persistent
Honey, turn
behavior.
around. Turn around when you're back
Expecting a different
through the wind.
result. the definition of insanity.
Poor child. Oh, that poor thing.
And Timmy learned to swear.
Timmy's got brain damage now.
That is the best thing ever. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
That was greatness.
A spoonful
Oh,
of sugar helps the medicine go down. Okay. So I know everybody's on the Betty White train here. Everybody loves Betty White.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
But
no.
unfortunately, she's not the only one who passed away last year. There was a man who passed away by the name of E.O. Wilson, who was an
Edward
incredibly
Incredible
important
man.
scientific mind.
Yep.
The guy's huge. He was an evolutionary biologist who just did a lot of phenomenal sort of things.
He invented the field.
Yeah, he invented the field
I mean,
of
he
evolutionary
really-
biology.
That book that he wrote back in the day, I forget, it was about 1975 or so.
You're talking about Ants and Men? Or the one
No,
before that?
It was the big what the hell was the name of that thing? That was sociobiology. That's what it was.
Right.
Sociobiology was the name of the book that I was thinking of.
Well, here's his biography from the E.O. Wilson Foundation.
Okay.
Born in Birmingham, Alabama in 1929, growing up in the countryside around Mobile, he was entranced by nature and its creatures. A fishing accident left him blind in one eye, interfering with his ability to study birds and other animals in the field. He decided to focus on insects, creatures he could examine under a microscope. Most children have a bug period, he wrote in his memoir, I Never Grew Out of Mine. All right. While still in high school, Wilson discovered the first colony of fire ants in the United States. After earning a BS and MS in biology at the University of Alabama, he received his PhD from Harvard in 1955. From 53 to 56, he was a junior fellow at Harvard's Society of Fellows. During this period, he commenced a series of research field trips that took him to many parts of the South Pacific and New World tropics. In 1956, he joined the Harvard faculty. This guy's, already amazing career, and he's still basically a kid. Early in his career, Wilson conducted work on the classification and ecology of ants in New Guinea and other Pacific islands, and in the American tropics. In 1963, his work and his conception of species equilibrium led him to the theory of island biogeography. Now, this is important because what we're getting into is the foundation in biology of nature versus nurture. Interesting things happen to animals on islands. You get things like island dwarfism and all sorts of other phenomena that you need to sort of explain. So Wilson, as an evolutionary biologist, starts looking at how things got to be the way that they are from an evolutionary perspective. So many people are saying he is the heir apparent to Charles Darwin. This is like a huge thing, right? This is a big thing to say about the guy. So to say that he was influential in biology would be a huge understatement.
Staggering, dominating.
Yeah. As big a deal as it is that Betty White passed away, because everybody loves Betty White.
Yeah.
She did make it to 99. This is a huge
This is a
loss,
much
too.
bigger deal,
Yeah.
in my opinion. In terms of importance to mankind, this guy really coalesced a lot of theory, and he provoked a lot of thinking too.
Oh yeah. Well, we're gonna.
That's
He
that's what they're
caused
so upset about too.
He upset some people. I know. That's surprising. So, by looking at things in island habitats, he actually was able to lay the foundation for a lot of biology that we have today. In the late 50s and 60s, Wilson played a key role in the development of the new field of chemical ecology. So here's another feather in his cap. With several collaborators, he worked out much of the pheromone language of ants, and with William H. Bossert of Harvard University, he created the first general theory of properties of chemical communication. Huge. If this was the only thing he did, he'd still be like Nobel Prize range.
Right.
Excuse me. Because all plants and microorganisms, as well as a variety of animals, communicate primarily or entirely by using chemical signals, the importance of this work has been immense. By the late 70s, Wilson had actively involved in global conservation, adding to and promoting biodiversity research. In 1984, he published Biophilia, which explored the evolutionary and psychological basis of humanity's attraction to the natural environment. This work introduced the word biophilia to the language and has been influential in the shaping of modern conservation ethics. Now, keep this in mind because diversity is kind of an important thing because sometimes bad things happen and a lot of things die. And you want to have as many candidates for not being dead as possible from which to draw upon, which we will come back to a little later. I don't even, and then we get into, sociobiology, the new synthesis, which basically gets talking about taking his theories and extending it into vertebrates, humans, animals, primates, that sort of thing. And this is where people sort of started to lose their shit because there's a certain part of our society that likes to talk about following the science, but they don't really understand science.
I am the science.
They don't like it when it's inconvenient. Your Rebecca Watsons, those types who don't believe in her case, it's evolutionary psychology. So there was a thing in, Scientific American, which people were just sort of roundly mocking recently on Twitter. And it was interesting. This Scientific American article, shut up, go away. Okay, I was so happy to find out that I'd finally not been subscribed to this rag. The Complicated Legacy of E.O. Wilson. Now, Monica is R. McLemore, is an associate professor in family healthcare nursing department and clinical scientist at Advancing New Standards in Reproductive Health at the University of California, San Francisco. Not that that's not an accomplishment, but
is it though?
But
it got to do with socio.
She's not punching down. Let's just put it that way to be polite. So this piece basically, which people were soundly mocking on Twitter, lays out a bunch of interesting ideas. Go away here. People got really hung up on this one passage. First, the so-called normal distribution of statistics assumes that there are default humans who serve as the standard that the rest of us can be accurately measured against. The fact that we don't adequately take into account differences between experimental and reference groups' determinants of risk and resilience, particularly in health sciences, has been a hallmark of inadequate scientific methods based on theoretical underpinnings. It's a fancy way of basically saying that we don't like you using the word normal when we describe human beings. We don't want there to be a normal. You go to the doctor, you get blood work done. They say, oh, this is in the normal range. Don't worry about it. This is outside of the normal range. Maybe you should worry about it. But can't we all just be different? Can't we all just be different and special and unique in our own way? Isn't my definition of good health all that really matters?
Not really. I mean, what they want is for everyone to be viewed as the same, no matter what. We're going to brutalize the languages. That's where I think we're, in terms of cultural change, that's what's really going to happen over the next few years. You see a lot of changes to the language.
Well, you get into topics like eugenics, right? And there were bad people in the Second World War. We won't talk about who they were, but there were bad people who did bad things. And they thought that something like eugenics was a good idea. So anybody who talks about anything that sounds like there's an evolutionary basis for some part of the human condition get immediately vilified as if they're saying something that's wrong. If you were breeding dogs or animals or cattle or some kind of livestock or whatever, and you were selectively picking their mates to maximize like the yield of beef cattle, nobody would think anything of it. But when you pretend that humans are also animals and that somehow our genetics have anything to do with this, these people just lose their shit.
Yeah, exactly.
What's in the Scientific American article beyond what the people on Twitter are talking about is what he's not looking at when he talks about nature versus nurture is all of the things that happen out in the world, all of the injustices. They start getting into all this intersectional horse shit. Let me see if I can find the passage.
Yet they'll accept that the reason why the white people have less melanin in their skin is because they escaped to caves in northern, modern day Europe. And no problem accepting that part of it, but everything else.
This is one of the worst things I've read in an actual scientific journal. It's sort of barely a scientific journal at this point. Scientific American's popular science. Wilson was hardly alone in his problematic beliefs. His predecessors, mathematician Carl Pearson, anthropologist Francis Galton, and Charles Darwin, Gregor Mendel, and others, also published works and spoke of theories fraught with racist ideas about distribution of health and illness in populations without any attention to the context in which these distributions occur. Even modern geneticists and genome scientists struggle with inherent racism in the way they gather and analyze data. Shut up.
Data isn't racist.
To put the legacy of their work in the proper perspective, a more nuanced understanding of problematic scientists is necessary. It is true that work can be both important and problematic. They can coexist. Therefore, it is necessary to evaluate and critique these scientists specifically, considering specifically the value of their work and at the same time their contributions to scientific racism. Shut the fuck up.
See, when you mentioned we were going to the science segment, I thought we were going to have some, fun. But this is just
crap. I don't have another palate cleanser, do I? All right. I don't think I do. I think we used them all. Let me see. Oreos. Yeah, I think you're shit out of luck.
Oh, well.
Okay. All right. Well, we can always watch the guy get hit in the head with the trash can again.
Yeah, play it again. Just play that again.
He needs a bungee cord from the first girl.
All right.
Aw, are they
So-
sort of the same age?
Yeah. So yeah, I think it. Well, at least the kid follows through. At least he's tough. So in Discord, I was sent a bunch of things this week. So I was sent that Scientific American thing out of context. I didn't know what it was referring to. And then I looked into E.O. Wilson's death to tie it into Betty White, and I go, oh, okay, so now I know the context of this thing, and I've shared it with you. And there was also this thing about sharks, which National Shark Attack Database rebrands to minimize stigma.
Shark got a PR.
It was a
agent.
Sharknado.
Do the sharks have a PR problem? Do we really need to? This is of course from Australia, because why not? The National Shark Attack Database has rebranded in a bid to remove the stigma attached to sharks, who experts say have been unfairly demonized.
Aw.
Now
They're being blamed for shark attacks. Sharks are.
I know.
This is bad.
Go figure.
It's shark incidences now, Skep. We don't want to be racist.
So I have a surprise for you, and this might surprise many of you. As much as I hate certain fish, I actually don't hate sharks.
Sharks is good meat.
I actually
It's
have
good white
a
meat.
grudging respect for sharks, and they're not in the list of 6 fish that can go fuck themselves.
No.
Respect, yes, but I'm still fucking terrified of them and fuck sharks.
No, yeah, I mean, absolutely true. So, thinking about E.O. Wilson again, just remember what we've previously talked about.
Mhm.
Sharks have been around for 450 million years.
Mm-hmm.
It's good looking black.
450 million years is a fucking long time. And in that time, since the Devonian period, they have hardly changed at all. If you go and you look at a shark at any point in time in the last 450 million years and you say, is this thing perfectly evolved for its environment? The answer is yes.
Nearly, yeah.
Yeah.
They seem to have gotten a little bit smaller.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, fair enough.
That's all.
so bringing up the time scale here, you can see Cenozoic, Mesozoic, Paleozoic. The Devonian is all the way in the middle of the third column. Let's see, can I make this larger? Yes. So you got to go all the way through all of the saber-toothed tigers and all the other stuff, and all the way through all of the Triceratopses and Diplodocuses and everything else, and all the way through all this other stuff to get to the Devonian. 450 million years is like forever in terms of life. It's like, this is like some of the earliest stuff that isn't unicellular. That's how old these things are. And
that's absolutely true.
You know, you got to respect that kind of run. Nothing on this planet has had a run like sharks have.
I think the next closest was like crocs, alligators.
Oh, they've I think
not nearly as long as sharks, but I mean it's up there.
Well, let's put it this way: the sharks predate the reptiles, the land reptiles, by a good bit. So they're way they actually predate all reptiles by a fair bit.
Which kind of makes sense considering that life evolved from the sea and then came out onto I mean they predate some like most trees that still exist today.
Now in Earth's history we've had several great extinctions. And of them, the one that was the worst, that literally almost ended everything, was the one that happened at the end of the Permian, which is, if you look in this column for the Paleozoic, Devonian, Carboniferous, Permian.
Way up at the top.
And so when you go from the Permian, after the Permian, you get into the Triassic, is where you start seeing sort of the age of dinosaurs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At the end of the Permian, there was this huge die-off where everything just sucked.
There's a cluster in all of the rocks on Earth of I think it's vanadium. I think it might be vanadium that is in there, that is evident, at least in a certain part of the world, where that's evidence of that extinction event. What was in the atmosphere? Anyway.
I don't know if vanadium was this extinction event.
I think
this particular one
Triassic, but anyway, I'll check it out and see.
Well, it's without getting into the reasons behind the Permian Triassic. 81% of all marine species died. 70% of all terrestrial vertebrates died. Nearly all of the insects died.
Good.
You know, in terms of the amount of life in the ocean, in terms of just the total amount of life, just based on mass, 95% of everything in the ocean died.
And sharks were just like,
but
I hate that guy.
Sharks were like, you know, man,
this is
another Monday, man. You know, this sucks. Sharks not only made it through the other side, they made it through the other side largely unchanged. That's how few shits sharks give about anything. So, you know what? I don't think sharks have anything to apologize for. I think sharks are pretty damn impressive. And
the only thing that would probably take them out is eliminating their food sources. Which...
yeah, I think sharks are kind of awesome. I mean, just because they're like the ultimate survivor, and you kind of gotta respect.
They practically don't get disease.
Yeah, they don't get cancer.
Yeah,
I've seen them still operate with half their body missing.
Creepy, but fantastic.
You have to respect this animal. They terrify the shit out of me, but
I wish I didn't. I mean, yeah.
But you know, if it's because of people,
those guys are cute.
It's because of people like E.O. Wilson that a conversation about the evolutionary standing of sharks makes any sense. To sort of take it full circle. You know, we lost an incredibly important guy in E.O. Wilson. I mean, he had a long life and he was extremely productive and he influenced a ton of people. So he's never going to really be gone. I mean, 1,000 years from now, people are going to know who he was.
They're going to try him in the court of public opinion now, though, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
They can try.
Long after we forget about Rebecca Watson and that nitwit who wrote that article for Scientific American. Monica. Thanks, Monica. People are still going to be talking about E.O. Wilson.
And they won't be talking about that Monica.
Yeah. Anyway, that is the show for tonight. We don't have any penis news. I'm really sorry about that.
I blame geodes.
Before we go, can I, first of all, take this opportunity to wish everybody a happy new year. Everyone has a happy, safe, prosperous, and generally pleasant new year. And also to convey to our listening audience that a minion and friend of many of us, Weebo Jones, had to undergo surgery on her arm. And so keep her in your thoughts and prayers. And it was evidently a result of some kind of pretty difficult situation. I don't know what the precise details of the injury was, but she got injured and is in surgery now.
Are you not saying it because you think you shouldn't, or because you actually don't know?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then we'll just stay with vague. Yes.
Yeah, just staying vague.
It's bad. I mean, I don't know Weebo as well as the rest of you guys do.
She's a capital person, just really a great person.
She's always struck me as being a real straight shooter. I've never seen her do anything that I didn't think was
what you
top-notch.
see is what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's
so it saddens me that she's suffering.
Yeah. So anyway, DM her, remember her, and I'm sure we'll get updates on the Minion server.
Yeah, there'll probably be more stuff coming along. We'll see how it goes, because we really just don't know a lot, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anything else from anyone before we head off a little early tonight?
Start the New Year's off right by eating a box of chocolates.
Wrapped in bacon and smoke.
No, not those two. Don't ruin your chocolates.
Juice.
I had my black-eyed peas today. I had my black-eyed peas.
You had your Hoppin' John?
No, it's not Hoppin' John. It's black-eyed peas down here.
Oh, you don't mix it with greens and make it really spicy?
No. Yes, normally, absolutely, but not on this day. This day you have to eat just the black-eyed peas.
Oh, interesting. I've always done the Hoppin' John.
Yeah.
For
normally, we jazz a Hoppin' John, okra, all kinds of things.
Different traditions.
Yeah.
It's like I don't live in Texas.
It's been a little while since I've been on the show, but James Webb Space Telescope was launched. I hope people got a chance to see that, because that was incredible. Speaking of things that impact are going to impact our lives and our understanding of the universe, and it's been a week now. It was launched on Christmas, and it's still only like 55% on the way to the Lagrange point. Its parking spot in.
Yep.
And
it's getting there.
But just to know that in our time we're going to be seeing this data from the far reaches of the universe is just a wonderful time to be alive, and I'm excited for that.
No, we better take a look now before the universe expands further and we can't see a damn thing.
Or before a meteor hits us and space Steve Jobs goes to another planet, gets eaten by a...
Before a bunch of volcanoes simultaneously spew CO2 and sulfur compounds into the atmosphere and kill off everything in the ocean.
Just good to smoke.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Smoke the whole planet and eat what's left.
Yeah.
Wrap your Oreos in bacon and then hang them out on the line. It'll be fine. I don't know why that annoys me so much. Anyway, I think we are done. We're done?
We're done.
I think
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Zoo is closed.